Right, I want to talk about Spider-Man, Liam.
Okay, let's talk about Spider-Man, Mike.
Spider-Man is an upcoming open-world action-adventure title for the PS4, due out on September the 7th. It's being developed by Insomniac for Sony. Insomniac are, of course, the people what made Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, the Resistance franchise. They've made some bloody games, haven't they?
They've been around a long time, and they've made some heavy hitters.
Yeah, on the Xbox One's, one of the Xbox One's best exclusives as well, Sunset
Overdrive, yeah.
You played that, didn't you?
I did. It was really good.
Yeah, a lot of positivity for that game. So we saw a lot of Spider-Man at E3. It was one of the Sony presentations, kind of deep dives that Sony wanted to do into a handful of games. What do we know about it so far? What did we learn from E3 that we kind of, perhaps didn't know before?
From Sony's E3 conference, we sort of saw it was quite a long gameplay demo, like 10-15 minutes, very in-depth. It showed off like what looked like quite a linear section taking place in the Raft, which is in the Marvel universe a prison for supervillains or just superpowered people. Yeah. And it seemed like there was a riot going on, a breakout, and Spider-Man gets called in to put them all back in. Yeah,
classic Spider-Man stuff.
Classic Spider-Man.
And it looked very Spider-Man-ish. It did, yeah. It was one of my picks of the show because of just the way that it handles. It just looks like nothing, unlike anything else that's currently there. It's not a cover shooter. It's not a first-person shooter. It's an open-world game where you swing from the rooftops and not run along the streets jumping into cars and whatever. It just looks and handles very differently. And I was a big fan of the old Spider-Man games on PS1 and PS2. I think the big question is about the gameplay and stuff, because that's what a lot of the previews and stuff have been talking about. How is this going to play, do you think?
So from that little demo, well, not little demo, but the demo at the E3 conference, it looked very Arkham-ish with the combat, especially with doing combos, using gadgets, and then you have like the little thing flashing up over Spider-Man's head, and you press a triangle to dodge. Yeah, very much like Arkham. But the thing with Spider-Man is the animation looks a lot better than Arkham. It looks a lot more like mobile. There's a lot more movement involved than Arkham. Yeah,
you're dead right. It's very athletic. It kind of makes, in my head, it makes a bit more sense than it does in Arkham, because Batman's a big
he's kind
guy.
Of tanky.
Yeah, he is kind of a tank, and he kind of he's just kind of moving his arms and he's doing these big kicks and stuff in quite kind of a static way, whereas Spider-Man is bouncing around literally off the walls, like just pulling things towards him with the webs and stuff. It looks very it looks like it fits a little bit better in my head anyway than it does with
I agree,
with the Batman series. The combat looks exactly like what I would want, and I know that system's been used a lot, and like it's kind of, maybe some people are a bit bored of it, but to me it makes more sense than it does in most things, and it's a superhero game, and I can completely forgive them doing it more than something like Mad Max, for example, which I enjoyed Mad Max, but it just felt like it was just there.
the on-foot combat wasn't exactly the greatest in that game.
No, it was a different way of doing it, wasn't it? And it certainly did feel a bit stiff, and the web swinging as well is kind of the probably the main thing. There's a lot of positivity for it.
Yeah, I've seen 7 or 8 articles all praising how the web slinging works in this game.
I saw a couple of headlines, like The Verge says, for example, quote, "Swinging through New York City has never felt this good." Don't know how much swinging through New York City The Verge has done, but that is up there with the best. GameSpot says the speed of Spidey feels just right, which is important, right? It's
of course.
Speed and acceleration and stuff.
Big thing with every Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. Yeah, people have complained about the web slinging. They've never quite got it as good as it felt in Spider-Man 2. Yeah,
absolutely. I still hold it. I loved that Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2.
It was really good.
And since then, I just haven't had that experience. There have been many Spider-Man games.
I've played pretty much all of them, and I agree.
You're a big Spider-Man fan, aren't you?
I am, yeah. And it's web slinging is... It seems like such an easy thing to do, but it's quite amazing how few games actually get it right. Yeah. Like, I remember Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and it was awful in that game. It barely worked.
Yeah. And when Spider-Man 2 came out, we're talking 2004. Kind of things.
Very long time ago.
It's a while ago since we've had this. Part of the reason why I'm so hungry for this, I think, and you as well. Like, really, we're both kind of looking forward to this as one of our picks of the year. The way it works is really simple as well. I've seen this breakdown on a few of the articles, but VG247, for example, said they've really nailed the raw pendulum-like kineticism you expect from Marvel's youngest and most agile hero. To swing, you simply hold down R2. Holding it down sends Spider-Man into the air, swinging from web to web, or sprinting vertically up a skyscraper if your feet happen to touch their glassy exteriors. It's quite streamlined by the sounds of it. It's like a one button.
Like, I reckon it'll be one of those things that's like easy to use, hard to master, probably sort of things.
Yeah, I think it'll be the kind of thing where it makes you look and feel really cool to begin with.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you can add, they do go on, VG247 does go on to add some more details. All the flourishes, every acrobatic flip and twist are handled automatically, but you can time your releases and let Spider-Man fall to build up speed. Yeah. Holding R2 again at the right moment to use your weight to fling yourself faster.
So it seems to be a very momentum-based in this game, which I don't think they've done in any of the older Spider-Man games.
Yeah, it was a bit more rigid. Still, you know, in the really old ones, the good ones, you know, it was a bit more rigid, but it was less momentum focused. I think it's going to be a difficult thing to get right, but if you nail it, it's such a special feeling because there's nothing else like it. There's flying in games, there's riding horses in games, there's driving cars in games, there's running in games. You know, even comparing it to something like Crackdown or something like that, where you know, momentum and jumping and being in the city thing is a big part of it. It's a very specific thing, isn't it? Like just launching a web and swinging from the top of a building. So it's probably quite difficult to get right, I guess. You can also add a bit more control to what you're doing by tapping X to shoot out a web and pull you in
a speed
quickly.
Boost.
Yeah, it's kind of a catapult type move, I guess, where you just kind of sling yourself forward really quickly. There's also a gadget wheel, so we're going back to the combat here with the gadget wheel. You can access, you know, pretty Batman Arkham-esque type stuff. The ones they saw, the VG247 saw, were kind of standard web shooter, a web bomb, and a trip mine. That looks pretty cool, right?
Yeah, the web bomb does. I think in that demo they showed him jumping really high up into the air and then just doing like an AoE sort of bomb attack on a bunch of enemies, which looked very cool.
Yeah, you can also use the environment quite a lot.
You can, yeah. So if like you're in combat, you can say there's like some scaffolding above an enemy. You can use a web shooter, just pull it down on top of them, and that'll like take them out with the count. Again, sort of thing.
Makes perfect sense in the thing, and I'm totally on board for doing that and interacting with the environment and stuff. That seems pretty cool. Overall, I think that the mix that they're trying to go for here of speed and agility and moving quickly, combined with, you know, using your web abilities and stuff to, you know, pull at the environment and chuck things at the enemies, and obviously like incapacitate the enemies, you can like you know, make it so they can't move and stuff like that, you know, just kind of wrap them up in a web and shit like that. There's been a lot of games since those original Spider-Man ones for PS1 and PS2 where you've got, you know, things like Prototype and stuff, and where they've kind of done Spider-Man-ish things with webs and stuff.
Prototype was pretty close with all the tendrils and stuff like that in it.
And like running on the sides of buildings and stuff. I just feel like I've kind of almost had this great Spider-Man experience a few times in the past.
Yeah, I agree.
I just hope that this is the one that really just gives it to you properly, and you know, makes you feel like that's kind of, you're playing as Spider-Man.
Yeah, if anyone could do it, it's going to be Insomniac.
Yeah,
because if you haven't played Sunset Overdrive, biggest part of that game was like the traversal and the movement, and they absolutely got it spot on. Yeah, so I have like, you know, complete faith that they'll get Spider-Man right.
What do we know about the quest structure and the way that the open world kind of works?
So I read a preview by WCCF Tech, and they got to play a hands-on with a show floor demo at E3, and they said like the open world is quite big and there's a lot of verticality to it, you know, being in New York, obviously skyscrapers and everything, but they said there were some open world tropes to it, like climbing a skyscraper, scanning out on the horizon, and that's how you pick up missions and side activities. Kind of, you know, like Assassin's Creed-ish, Eagle Vision, whatever it is. They said the map was a bit tropey in that it had just mission markers dotted all over it for loads, like main missions, loads of different side missions, and then just, you know, like activities in the world, like
pretty Ubisoft-ish generally sounding.
And there's just like random crimes that happen if you're going through the world that you can stop if you want, but you don't have to, obviously.
So don't expect the Zelda Breath of the Wild style, you know, quiet revolution in open world design. It's going to be quite safe in that.
Very reliant on the old school Ubisoft design by the sounds of it.
I also read something in comicbook.com that they said there won't be annoying side missions like delivering pizza or like the balloon rescues that were in that was in classic Spider-Man 2.
I remember
that were kind of just, you know, they felt like you were, you know, that's the thing with Spider-Man, it's meant to be like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man fighting, doing small crimes and stuff, but there was a lot of that stuff in some of the previous games. It's going to be less like that and more like crime focus and stuff, but they will be occurring around you and stuff, and you can fight those kind of minor crimes if you want. Overall then, I think the big question is, do we think this is going to make you feel like Spider-Man the way way that the Arkham games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and Arkham Knight and the other one, was it Arkham Origins? Was it?
Yeah, Arkham Origins, the prequel.
So the way they made you feel like Batman, is this going to be the Spider-Man that makes you feel like Spider-Man? The signs are quite strong, I think.
Yeah, everything I've read or seen about it, pretty much every journalist has said this is like the ultimate Spider-Man game, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of faith in Insomniac. They're a great developer, so I reckon they'll absolutely nail the feeling of being Spider-Man.
I hope they do. I mean, the Sony first-party output is what has got me feeling confident that
that's it.
The Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, things that they have put money into themselves and that they've got studios working for exclusively for PlayStation 4 have been quite good. They've been very polished, if nothing else.
I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, that was a great open-world game. Yeah. So I don't see why this wouldn't be.
And that was safe in many ways. That was
very safe, yeah.
Borrowing mechanics from all over the place, that game. So I'm looking forward to this a lot. What I've seen has basically just cemented what I've wanted.
Same here, really.
It looks like the kind of game that I was hoping it would be so far. The only complaint I've seen that is really registered as a complaint is the boss fights, and that was on VG247 as well. Yeah, they said that it fluffs the boss battles.
So from what I read, it seems to fall into like the phase of you hit them, you dodge, you do a bit of a QTE, then like they get a bit stronger. Yeah. You hit them, you dodge, QTE, just like that sort of like classic free phase boss fight sort of thing going on.
Yeah, which have been around since the
dawn
goddamn
of
80s.
Gaming.
Yeah, it's that. And that is what it is to me in a nutshell. It just looks like an unbelievable PlayStation 2 game, and that's what I want. I just want a PlayStation 2 game that looks like a PlayStation 4 game. That's
There's a lot of people who would very much agree with you there.
Yeah, so fingers crossed, and that's roughly kind of what we know and what we've learned from the Spider-Man game, which is coming out on September the 7th for the PlayStation 4, developed by Insomniac, like we said. Me and Liam are certainly looking forward to it. There's a lot of gameplay out there by now, so if you want to get a good impression of it, we'll put some links in the description. You can see what the game looks like yourself, and we won't know until September. Let us know down in the comments below what you think of this game, what you're expecting of it, what you're hoping of it. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. There should be another video on your screens right now if you want to watch that, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can, spins a web any size.